Good evening, everyone. Hi, this is Sherry Sims, founder of Black Career Women's Network, and thank you for tuning in to another career conversation. Tonight, our special guest is Miss Janell Hazelwood. And Janell Hazelwood is one of the very first professionals who did our very first Google Hangouts. We want to welcome her back. But before we go ahead and have Janell start off our conversation for tonight, I do want to share with you who she is. For those of you who are new or this is your first time viewing our career conversation, I'm going to share just a little bit about Janell so you can get to know who she is. Janell Hazelwood is a former global and career expert for BlackEnterprise.com. She is now the founder and CEO of the BOSSMoves. She's also a featured blogger in My Two Cents, which provides insights for millennials, perspective on career advancement, job trends, leadership, and entrepreneurship. She previously was a content producer and a copy editor before she actually got promoted to senior editor at BlackEnterprise.com, and then decided she wanted to go on her own and expand at what she does now. And what Janell does now, she is a Chief Content Curator. So she helps you actually take your brand and teaches you how to monetize it. And she's going to be talking about that tonight. She also is a Hampton University graduate, and she got her start in the newspaper industry and has worked for companies like New York Times, Scripps Howard News Service, and her work and insights have appeared in Huffington Post, E! Online, Ebony.com, CBS News, and Brazen Careerist. So without further ado, let's introduce the wonderful Miss Janell Hazelwood, who's going to be talking tonight about how to turn your purpose into profit. Take it away, Miss Lady.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, like she said, I'm Janell Hazelwood. I'm Chief Content Strategist, journalist with the BOSSMoves. And just to expand a bit on what Sherry was saying, I was Associate Managing Editor before I left to start my own consultancy and to do a little bit of freelancing, working with different brands. So I work with women entrepreneurs, minority entrepreneurs, and helping them with their business development, social media management, branding, and also just streamlining their purpose, their branding, and their media strategy. So that's what I'm working on now. And thank you so much for having me tonight. I hope everyone can see me well.
And for those of you who are watching, if you are watching directly from our website, please feel free to tweet your questions to Janell at JP Hazelwood, or you can tweet them at BCW Network. You can also post your questions to our Facebook group, as we're going to be monitoring that as well. And for those of you who are in the Google Hangout itself watching, please, our Q&A box is up right now, and feel free to type your question in, and Janell will be happy to answer that. So just, don't be afraid to wait till the end to get your questions answered. Just jump right in, because that's what we're here for. So Janell, let's talk real quick. I wanted to share another thing with you guys too, is Janell is also a BCWN mentor. She's been a big supporter of BCWN from the very beginning, so we are so honored to have her back on a career conversation tonight. So I want to jump right in, Janell, because I'm so excited about this topic. And for those of you who do not know, this is a two-part series we're doing tonight. So this is part one, where Janell's going to be talking about, how to turn your purpose into profit. And then part two, we'll be talking about at the end of this career conversation. So let's talk about this, because this is something Janell is passionate about. She's passionate about millennials. She's passionate about helping people to monetize their purpose of their passion into something that can help them make a living. So, the one thing that I want to say first before Janell gets started is that we've got a couple of things we definitely want to make sure we cover that she can help to inspire you all to really be savvy about how you go about this. So for those of you who are on tonight watching, please, you will be inspired, because Janell does just that to you. Once you start having her, listen to her and what she's going to be talking about and the tips and tools that she shares, you get your notepad ready, because it's going to be good. So let's go right into this first. And first, I want you to share with the viewers, Janell, really why are millennials your passion, and why is it that important? Why do you feel like it's your gift or blessing to other people to teach them how to monetize? And you're not talking about just monetizing someone's business. You're talking about monetizing your purpose or your passion, and that's what makes this difference from someone who's just starting a business doing. Share with us. Why are you so passionate about this particular hot topic?
Well, I know when I was younger in my career, I really didn't have much guidance in terms of what am I great at and how can I make money from this. I just was always taught to find a good job, make your good money, and those mostly were vocations like or occupations like, you know, doctor, lawyer, business person that would guarantee you to have or work for the government, which a lot of my family does work for the government. So. Um, I really wanted to empower young people with things that I wasn't taught, things that I wasn't told about how you can be paid to do what you love, paid to be creative, paid to monetize your actual purpose and not just picking something for the salary potential, etc. Not to say that that's a bad thing, because obviously you want to be able to pay your bills, you want to build wealth. However, you want to do what you are led to do, what God put in your heart to do, and also what you're happy at doing. With the recent change of things after the 2008 recession, I think a lot of people learned a big lesson about purpose and passion and really embodying what you love doing, because so many people got laid off. So many people had to become creative in how they actually make their money and take care of their families because they had no choice. So now I just want to empower young people, millennials, those who are between the ages of 21 and I guess you're kind of easing on the millennial tread at 30, 35, to say, hey, what do I love? What am I great at? Also, if you're wondering where I am, I'm actually in the car. I was en route and I really want to be on time for this. So I'm actually in the backseat of the car. So please forgive me. Like this is a great, awesome vehicle. But some of you may be wondering, like, where is she? You know, so I'm in a car. As you can see, if this was an ad, we'd be getting paid quite a bit of money for sponsorship, Sherry. So we have to think about doing something like this, career conversations in the car. So if you're wondering, yes. So millennials, that's my thing. I really love empowering young people to say, hey, you don't have to be what your grandparents or your mother told you to be. You can be exactly what you want to be, and you can make a great amount of money doing that, doing what you love, and being very creative and innovative in doing that.
You know, I love that you said that, and I think you hit it right talking about in 2008 how you know, you could feel the shift. For those of you who are in the workforce as long as Labas have been, you felt that shift. You felt that shift in everything that was going on at the time. So I do think that we started to think about purpose a lot more often. So let's talk about that. So you talk about thinking about purpose. Let's think about how does someone get clear about what their passion is? How do they get clear about understanding, you know, what their passion is?
Okay, well, the first step is to explore. I think you have to really get out there, especially if you're a young person. You really should get out there and learn exactly what you love doing. If you're in college right now, try different things. You know, try internships, try volunteer opportunities. If you're an adult, I would say the same thing. I would say, you know, in your free time, try different things, volunteer for things, sit down and write a list of things you're great at, or even things that you dream of doing, that you've always thought of doing. Also, anything that keeps you up at night typically is your purpose. That's God poking you, like how they used to have on Facebook, where it was like really, you know, kind of creepy, but this isn't a creepy thing. This is like, you know, this is God poking you. If you're able to sit up at night and say, why is this still on my mind? Or why am I dreaming about this? Or why am I so passionate about this? Or why does this really get into my spirit? Is this something that I would do for free if I weren't paid to do it? You know, that's how you find out what your purpose is. Also, I'm a very spiritual person, so prayer really helps. If I ask God distinctly, what am I supposed to be doing? What do I need to do? Oftentimes, certain doors will open, certain doors will close, and also certain opportunities will just come to you that you didn't even ask for. So that helps. So the first step is this: try different things, volunteer, get involved in your community, try a new course, even online. They have free tutorials or even low cost tutorials of things that you can do, things that you just love. Write down what you're great at. Are you a great speaker? Are you good with numbers? Are you creative? What are you creative at doing? What keeps you up at night? What type of TV shows really empower you and why? Ask yourself, why am I so interested in that show? Why am I so interested in this particular book? Why am I so interested in this particular person? And write those things down, those qualities, and that will help you to guide you to your purpose.
Wow, I think, I love the fact that, you talk about thinking about the spiritual pieces, because I remember when I started coaching, the indicators for me was just the energy came through my body, how charged up I felt and how excited I felt from doing that type of work. So I just, I just slowed down enough to listen to that feeling to say, this might be something I really need to dive off into more and explore and get better at, So I think when you feel that surge of energy where you feel like you can stay up all night and do that work effortlessly, you definitely need to think about, what Janell is saying in terms of being able to look at that as a passion. As something you can turn into an actual job and explore what that is. So let's go back to the next one, Janell, talking about aligning your passion with your strengths.
Okay, so basically, sometimes when you have passion, it doesn't mean that's something you should monetize. For instance, I love singing in the shower, but I know I'm not the next Beyonce. Now, look, maybe one day I'll sing backup for K. Michelle, which is kind of on my bucket list, actually. That may be something, but that's not something that I'm focusing a lot of my time and energy and money on. So you definitely need to make two different sections, I would say, in terms of your passions. When you write them down, say this to yourself: would I be willing to do this for a living on a consistent basis? Ask yourself that. I also love doing hair, but I definitely don't. I have to be in the mood to do it. You know what I mean? It's not something that I could see myself standing in a salon for 10 to 12 hours a day. Even for the money, I still don't think I would do it. But if my sister, cousin, friend needed their hair done, I would definitely do it. So think about those things. Are you willing to stand for hours or use your time capital to do these things? How much time capital are you willing to spend on whatever your passion is? And if you find that it's not that much time, it's not something you should monetize. If you love cooking, for instance, is it something that you do just for special occasion, or is this something that you would spend hours in a kitchen preparing a meal, budgeting for that meal, putting that budget into your business plan, getting customers for that, building up your social media? Think of all the different aspects of what it would take to do that in order to monetize it. So those are the things that you should consider when you're thinking about monetizing a passion, because like I said, just because you love doing something, it doesn't necessarily mean it's something to monetize. Also, how much are you willing to risk to make it a success? That's another factor to think about. How much are you willing to risk? Are you willing to leave your job? Are you willing to sacrifice 20% of your income? Are you willing to add extra hours to your day where you won't get as much sleep as you would? Are you willing to travel? Or are you willing to invest in yourself with a business coach, a business plan, overhead, and those sorts of things? So think about the expenses and how much of a return on your investment of time capital are you willing to invest in. If you're not willing to do that at this time, then it may not be something to monetize. It may just be a hobby or something that you should volunteer your time or give of your services for at a limited capacity.
Yeah, I like that. I like the fact you're talking about being realistic to see where you are. How much time can you give? How much can you invest into birthing it or creating it into something that can be profitable for you? So yeah, being realistic about that. I think time is important. And I know when I started BCWN, elementary age school, really school age girl, I may have reconsidered even pursuing it because of the time it involved of her being so young, and the focus needs to be on that. So yeah, you have to think about where you are in your life, and is it feasible? like you said, is it the right time?
Yes.
To do that. So you're absolutely right. And don't give it up, viewers. Keep doing it as a hobby until, don't you agree, Janelle? Keep doing it as a hobby?
Oh, I would definitely agree, because I'm actually going through this. They say, theory is great, but actually doing what you're preaching or practicing or speaking about just adds a bit more realness to it, because that's what I did. I had savings when I left my position. I actually was, at a very pivotal part of my career when I left. So some people say, you're crazy. You left benefits. You left the whole prestige of working under a company and that sort of thing. And I said, well, this is something that God led me to do. And also I planned, but I've also run through my savings. So you have to be someone that's prepared to do whatever, monetizing your passion financially as well. I would definitely recommend having a real plan, a plan A and a plan B. I've heard people say, you know what, I just quit without a plan, and God is going to take care of it, this and that. No. God will take care of it, but you definitely need to have a plan A and a plan B and a plan C, D, E, and F. Okay, because everything's not going to go to plan, but at least you have a blueprint. And for me, I'm a single woman with no kids. If you have a family, or if you're, if you have certain other expenses that you need to really take care of, I would say plan carefully if you're about to quit a full-time position in order to monetize your purpose and passion. And sometimes timing may not be on your timing. You may feel frustrated and say, hey, I'm going to quit my job to start this catering business, or my job is not creative enough. I want to be able to do something creative, or my job is not analytical enough, so I want to do something analytical, or my job is not paying me enough, so I want to quit and do something more lucrative. But sometimes it's best to make your passion your side hustle. Gain that those analytics for customers, gain that extra side money that you could put in a little fund that's gaining interest in order for you to reinvest in your business and take care of your household income with your current job. I would definitely recommend that. Now, hey, if you do want to take the leap and go by faith, by all means, if that's what you're led to do, fine. But I also think timing, as you said, Sherry, is very important, because sometimes you're thinking, oh, it's time. I'm so frustrated, or I just want to do something different, or, I have my husband, I have my wife, I can really rely on them. But be conscious of that. Make sure you have the right timing and the planning to scale what you're doing. I think that's very important.
Yeah, it really is, because you can quit and step out on faith and do all of that, but you don't know what unforeseen circumstances may come your way. And like you said,
yes,
having that A, B, C, D, E, F, G, I'm going to go ahead and do it, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P.
Yes, all the way to D, maybe.
All the way, yes, because there are things that may happen that may throw you off track. And if you're the kind of person whose energy flows in one way, and you may lose your creativity for a time, you're going to have to push through. It may take you longer, but you have to be prepared for those unforeseen things that may happen. And it has to be just the what ifs. What if this happens? You can't predict what that may be, but you definitely want to financially be able to prepare for that. Taking risk is fine. And then, yes, God is going to have you. He may not leave you to the wolves, but that doesn't mean you're not going to go through something in that journey of trying to get to that place of entrepreneurship and being creative and free. Sometimes all that does come with a price until you get to where you need to be. At least that's just my opinion on that.
Yes, I definitely agree. And also think about your biggest corporations, Wall Street even. When they had that big crash, they have whole departments that handle risk assessment. So you can do that for yourself as well, or even get a consultant or someone that you know who can be your quote unquote risk assessor. They can look into your current situation, your current environment, and also your mental state, your position in your career. Some of us feel we're ready, but then when we get out here, you figure it out and you say, maybe I wasn't ready. You know what I mean? So it's good to have that risk assessment person, whether it's a family member, a fellow entrepreneur, a mentor, or someone who has done it, who can tell you various risk factors of monetizing your purpose and in the respect of quitting a full-time job or starting another business, because sometimes people pivot their businesses as well. They'll say, well, this isn't working out, so I'm going to start another business. So sometimes that's part of monetizing your purpose as well. So make sure you have people on your team who can be risk assessors, similar to how Wall Street and other companies have, who can tell you, you should consider this, make sure you have your taxes together. In your current state, maybe you should save a bit more money, and different factors such as those.
Well, we have someone who's watching live from our YouTube page, from the live.
Oh, hello.
Yes, and it is. I'm looking at it on my cell phone. It's only one me. So hello, only one me. If you're watching, well, you should be watching live from YouTube. And her question is, Janelle, do you suggest to link up with others that have? I guess I think she said have do, but I think what she was trying to say is have or doing the same thing that she wants to do. I'm hoping that's what she was saying. So share with her what you think about that. And I think you just mentioned that about being involved with others. But she says, so do you suggest her linking up with others that do what she's wanting to do?
Okay, I would suggest that, but it just depends. Some of us are great at kind of going on our own and just gleaning from other people, from resources, from internet research and that sort of thing. So I would say you have to assess the type of person you are and the type of worker you are. Sometimes you can link up with people who are doing the same thing as you are, but sometimes they're kind of in struggle mode too. So you have to be careful of those things. When you're building, you have to be very discernful, because sometimes people will latch on and see that you're doing something, and you'll notice that you're so busy focused on helping them or being a partner to them or being a resource to them that you're not doing what you're supposed to do. So just be sure that you're staying focused. I would actually recommend, if you're trying to go into entrepreneurship, I would recommend masterminds, because at least a mastermind includes people who are doing what you're trying to do, but it has a leader who has a success record, who is not going to be looking at you kind of as competition or someone they could kind of latch on. Sometimes you get people who are venting, or they're not really doing what you're doing, but it seems that they are. I have to make this point as well, because I was speaking with someone about this. Just because you quit your job or just because you don't work for an employer does not make you an entrepreneur. Okay. There are a lot of people out here who claim to be entrepreneurs, but they don't have their businesses together. They're kind of in struggle mode, but not in the entrepreneur sense. Meaning that they have quit something, or they have done something, tried to start something, but they're not serious. They haven't put their all into it. They haven't put their 100%. They haven't invested in their tax ID. They haven't invested in certain things that make a business a business. So be careful of that as well. So I would say masterminds are great. There are quite a few online that you can research. I know Tani Chambers does a great one. She's a great mastermind. Helmer, and also you can go on meetup.com. They have a lot of great masterminds on there. Blackenterprise.com also mentions masterminds. And also TED Talks is a good place to find other experts. Lean In is a good place to find entrepreneurs. Of course, BCW Network, the Black Career Women's Network is great. But look toward people who actually have success metrics, who have done what you're trying to do. And then also just be careful of the people who, it's kind of like, okay, if you think about a Kobe, for instance. Like, why would he be trying to learn from someone who is a varsity basketball player, or someone who may be struggling? You get what I'm saying? He would want to learn from like a Michael Jordan or LeBron, or, other people who have been there, maybe like some of the other like classic players who came before him. Those are the people you really want to learn from, because you have to be careful of people who might be your peers, who, you kind of need to see their success metrics. What have they accomplished? Like, where has their business gone? What are their struggles, and how did they actually overcome them? So just be careful of that. It's great to link up with peers, but it's also great to have discernment and to really get involved with something that's going to give you a structured guide to where you should go. What resources you should be a part of, whether you should even start at all, to give you an assessment, because that's what I've been finding as well. I've been learning a lot from great people like Sherry and Becky Davis, Vanessa Johnson, Tani Chambers, Ty Beauchamp. These are people who have gone through the stuff before me, Alfred Edmond Jr., Derek Dingle. go for people like that. And then, of course, there's some of my peers like Alicia Reese, people who have actually gotten clients who are doing what I want to do. That's what I should say. The short answer is connect with people who have already done what you want to do, not people who may be struggling with the same stuff that you're struggling with, because you have to be careful. They may latch on to you, and next thing you know, you're not even getting any sort of positive reinforcement. You're at the same place while they've totally gleaned from you and have moved forward and gotten where they need to get. So yeah, that's what I would say. Masterminds are great. And look to the people who have already done it, not necessarily people who may have the same challenges as you are at your same level.
Yeah, that is really, really, really good advice, Janelle, that you're sharing with them. And it's so true. Look up at the people who are doing what you want to do, and that's who you need to reach out to. I can't stress that enough, even in my own experiences as well. So I think it's, what she's saying definitely is gold. Just write it down, mark it down, because it is gold. Let's go right to jump into the next one. So now the next one I have on here, did I lose it? There it is. Okay, get it back up again. There we go. All right. So let's talk about now, for the viewers who maybe know what their passion is, they're in alignment with it, with their strengths in terms of what they can do. They thought about entrepreneurship. And the one thing I want to add to that is that when you become an entrepreneur, you definitely need to think about your strengths and weaknesses from a different perspective. So if you weren't good, if you were working in the workplace with someone else and you were really not good with follow-up, or really not good with so whatever those things were that you struggled with in the workplace with someone else, it's going to take a lot more discipline to be more consistent in that when you work for yourself, because you don't have anybody to be that you have to that be accountable to say, why didn't you do this? Or so you have to really think about those strengths and weaknesses from another perspective, 3 times fold. So I just wanted to add that.
Oh yes, you definitely do. You definitely do. And also, like I said, it's great to have a team of people or someone to hold you accountable, because you'll kind of fall off. Also, many of us entrepreneurs, or budding entrepreneurs, I should say, because, when you're just starting out, we're often self-starters. Would you agree, Sherry? We often feel like, no, I can do this. Like, if this person can't do it, I'm going to take it on. Even at our jobs, we're leaders. Like, we're like, okay, this email wasn't sent, so I'm going to go ahead and send it. Or this project wasn't done properly, I'm going to go ahead and do it. And that's bad, because you should let people do their job and you should delegate. But many of us are like really into being self-starters. So sometimes you feel like you can do everything yourself. Well, that's not necessarily the case, because you start to see some things magnified even more than when you are an employee. So as an employee, you have your team members that you can bounce things off. The energy is there. People that can pick up the slack if you ever make a mistake, or, with your weaknesses, you can learn from other people. As an entrepreneur, unless you already have a full team of people and, you have your office and that sort of thing, it's really just you judging yourself. So you really need to assess yourself. I would say at least do weekly assessments or monthly assessments to say, hey, what have I accomplished? What were some of my mistakes? What clients did I lose? Or what were some, or even if you're not an entrepreneur yet, what were my reviews like at work? Go look up those reviews. Ask people in your network, if you were to review me on productivity, on public speaking, on customer service, on professionalism, on caliber of work. Ask those people, survey people who are, mentors of yours or friends of yours or even family members, and just get a sense of your strengths and weaknesses, because those are good to know as an entrepreneur, especially when you're working kind of in a silo and doing your own thing, solopreneurs. So I would say that, because that really helped me as well. And also, it keeps you grounded, because we all, like I said, I think I'm the best person in the world. And I'm like, that's how I handle the situation. I think it's great. But outside looking in is best, because you can't really see yourself outside of what you think is best and how to handle a situation. So with solopreneurship, I would say go out there and get reviews from trusted people who want to see you succeed, mentors, and also even people who have nothing to lose by telling the truth, which, like I said, reviews from work. Review those, and write down in a journal what you think about yourself. What are your strengths and weaknesses professionally? What are some times where you really made a mistake, or something that you may have regretted in business? Maybe you lost a client. Maybe you made a mistake. Maybe you sent an email mistakenly to someone else. Maybe you cost the company money, or even in your personal life. What are some things that people have said about you that may be true about your personality or the way you interact with people, or even your commitment to things. Like when I was a girl, I wanted to be a tennis star. I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be a ballerina. I played the saxophone. I did everything. So my mom would say, you would jump from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. You know what I mean? And if your mom can tell you something like that, who just loves you to death, maybe you should take into consideration and say, hey, what causes me to jump from one passion to another to another? You know what I mean? And it's great to get those assessments. Also, write things down. Like, this is so cliche, and a lot of people say this, but when you don't write things down, they're kind of just stuck up in your brain, and they're like floating around, and you really won't take it serious later, and it won't stick. If you write it down, even if you don't reference it at that time, if you write it down and come back to it, you'll say, oh, aha, this is something that, yeah, let me look into this, or I remember this. Oh yeah, that's right. Because sometimes we keep stuff in our head and we say, I don't have to write that down. That's just so, that just seems like something that's like a duh moment, or, I already knew this about myself. When really, when you write it down, it kind of puts it into perspective, and it allows you to come back and reference it for the future. So write it down. So the first thing I would say to that question, again, is get a review of yourself, whether it's from your job, previous reviews. You can go to your HR professional if you don't have those. Get reviews. Also, talk to people who are in your trusted network, your mentors, your advisors, your family members, people who have done business with you, people who have done project with you, and ask them to be candid. If you're afraid that they won't be candid verbally, maybe you could send them a survey via email. Sometimes people are more candid when they're writing down answers or typing answers, kind of like on Yelp. So it may not be verbal, and get some of those insights from them as an employee, how you are, and then you can strengthen some of those things, like keeping yourself accountable. Also, like I said, the masterminds really help when you can connect with another entrepreneur mentor, or another person who has done what you've done, and they can correspond with you. Or also, you can do case studies on yourself. So let's say Sherry and I, like we're doing this event right now with the Google Hangout. So I can say, Sherry, what did you think about the lighting? Or what did you think about me being in a car? Or what did you think about what I said about such and such? So once you get involved with partnerships and really start working with people who are not in your circle, who don't know you personally, and it's almost nothing to them to tell you the real deal on what they think. Ask them, once you do events or you speak with them, what did you think of me when you first met me? What was the first thing that you thought about? Because this helps you with your branding. It also helps you to improve. And it also, sometimes people's opinions are kind of bogus. So it kind of helps you to say, actually, that's not true. And it gives you a bit of self-awareness as well, to say, self-confidence, to say, hey, she may think that, but nah, I think I'm good on that. So it helps you to self-assess.
Right. So let's go into the next one, which is, first, let's talk about, okay, you know your purpose, so you know what your passion is. So now let's talk about the other pieces of the monetizing, which is the juicy stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Which is how to find a market and fill the void. Because I know people talk about, you want to be able to solve a problem. You hear that all the time when they talk about starting this business. What problem are you solving by starting this, and what's going to be that need? So how do people, our viewers who are watching, how they find a market for what they're doing, and, how they fill a void? What is it they need to be looking at or discovering, or what are some of the tools or things they need to be doing in order to do that? Okay,
so first I would say, look at who's already in your network, right? So I'm sorry guys, it got a little dark. Sorry. So basically, look at who is involved in your industry, right? Can you see me, Sherry?
Yeah, I can see you. Viewers, can you see her? Like they can come back and say yes.
So, okay. So I'm winging this, you guys, because I'm sorry. I wanted to be on time. I didn't want to miss you guys. So Sherry, forgive me. But hopefully you can hear me. You can see me pretty good. Okay,
Yeah, we
so
can
look at your
see.
competitors. Look at who you want to be like. Okay, so let's say I wanted to be in the snack industry. You already have Frito-Lay. You already have all these different companies, right? Look at how do they market their stuff. Go out in your community and ask people, hey, I have this idea. Would you buy into this? You know, your family can be your best critics, actually. So ask them, say, hey, if I were to make cakes for a living, would you buy my cakes? What type of cakes would you buy? Or here's how I found out businesses needed social media management. I was at Black Enterprise, and I would often see a lot of mistakes. A lot of young Black businesses that are so awesome at what they do. They're very innovative, but they're not competitive. So it would just be one of those things of, hey, what would make your business, what would make your business something that you would want to be into? I want to make sure you guys see me. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can see you, and when you got the car, and you can see the lighting all over you now.
Are you hearing anything in the background? Okay, perfect.
No. Viewers,
okay, guys, I want you to be able to see me. So think about your competitors. What exactly, are they doing? That's how you find the void. It's really in your community. I found a void in that I saw so many consistent mistakes, and I would vent to a friend and say, how would somebody not know this? And she's like, well, maybe they don't know. Maybe they need that sort of service. That's how you know people need things. It's in your community, having your ear out to the street. That's what I believe, having your ear to the street, because a lot of people are so-called innovators or, entrepreneurs, etc. I just think that you just have to be innovative in terms of having your ear to the street. That's number one. Number two, research. Simply Googling the title of what you want to do, or simply Googling top cake makers in the country or top so-and-so in the country. That's something that you should do. Research. It's very free. It's very cheap. Do your research. That's how you know if there's a void. That's how you know if your idea has already been done. And even if your idea has already been done, how can you modify that idea? How can you put your flair on it? There are a lot of social media managers and, content producers and these sorts of people. However, what experience do you bring to the table? What's your niche? You know what I mean? Sometimes that's something that fills a void as well. Your experience. Not all of us have worked for the New York Times. Not all of us have worked for Black Enterprise. Not all of us have been privy to the Magic Johnsons and Star Jones and that sort of thing. Not all of us have worked in small markets or helped people who have autism. So a specialty as well. That helps you hone in on a niche as well, a specialty. What about you that provides a specialty? Okay, think about everyone was into cakes. Now everyone's into the mini stuff. So cake pops and mini cupcakes. Before, that stuff wasn't popular until someone came up with it and said, hey, what about small bites? Sometimes people don't want a whole cake. Or for me, what about minority women? Having that as a niche, instead of catering to everyone, what is the audience that might need your niche? So that helps you as well to zero in on how do you find the market, the niche. What makes you special? What is your specialty? You know what I mean? What are your specialized education, your training? That definitely will help you as well. I think that helps you with the audience. And like I said, research really helps. For me, it was easy because I work in media. So we're always doing research. We're always doing audience development. We're always working with traffic. We're always trying to reach an audience. So think about it as well. If you have something that caters to women, for instance, look at your favorite publications that specifically cater to women to find out where is a niche. Let's say you're in healthcare and there's something that's not being catered to in terms of a certain service or something you see on your job as a nurse that you say, hey, there's a void there. So many people are doing this sort of service or advocating for this. What about these people? So sometimes even on your job, you can find an audience for what you offer and what you're creative at. And again, make sure you write this stuff down. Make sure you do your research and write it down, because sometimes it can be modified. You know, you can have an idea and you'll say, okay, maybe I should pivot that or add a modification to that, so that it's something that you won't have such a saturated market and such large competition for. I'm very big on specialized talent and specialized niche. It's so many people who are jacks of all trades, or people who are offering similar products to other people, that it's like, okay, we have that to choose from. If you're able to offer something that has a speciality to it, or has a special training or special certification, I think that makes you a lot more valuable in the market, and you're able to readily fill a niche a bit quicker than doing something that is already saturated. Also, here's a great example. Everyone knows about the waist trainers, right? You know, those girdles that everyone's wearing now. It seems like everyone's selling those on Instagram. Well, I recently interviewed a young lady. She's under 30. She's a multi-millionaire now doing the waist trainers. She's gotten the Kardashians to endorse her waist trainers. Now, what makes her different? Well, she's all over social media. She made herself a caricature on the actual waist trainer. She made the branding fun. She made herself the branding, and she also used her connections within the music industry to promote that. So that's what makes her different. Like, I would actually buy her waist trainers because they're not your usual nude or your usual black. While others may say, hey, all they offer is nude, black, and nude and black, and maybe another neutral color. That's what I want, so I go for that. If you want simplicity, you go for a certain brand. Some brands are known for, the woman who is eccentric. You go for that brand. So find out what makes you different and what audience caters to what makes you different, what makes your product different, what makes your expertise different. And I think that's the best way to find your audience. And like I said, research is key. Research. Google.
Now, don't you agree that it's also, it might be also savvy to create a signature type of something, some kind of signature something within your brand?
Oh, yes, a signature. So create some sort of tagline. What's your purpose? What's your mission? That's what you need to start with. Sometimes it's not all about how can I make money, because it's plenty of ways to make money out here, right? But what's your purpose? Brands that are led on purpose, brands that have a mission founded on purpose, are oftentimes the most successful. What type of problem are you trying to solve? That's another thing. Solving a problem. What problem are you solving? If you have a product or if you have a concept and it's not solving a problem, it's not going to go anywhere in the market. Everyone's looking for something that will make their lives easier, more efficient, make their lives run much smoother. And especially with technology out here, you definitely want to say, what problem am I solving? What am I offering to the world? Those brands often carry on for many, many, many years. What feeling am I giving people by the services that I offer? And also, like I said, I'm very faith-based. So what did God tell me about this? And if he hasn't told me anything, maybe I need to reconsider. Maybe I need to up my prayer life. I need to go to church. I need to read some more spiritual books, and I need to sit and wait to get a bit more clarification on monetizing my purpose.
So we have a question from Ruth Young Tyler. Hello, Ruth, and welcome, and thank you for tuning in to Career Conversations.
You can see me. I hope I'm not looking like parking lot pimping out here. But I had to innovate, guys. Like I said, I wanted to be on time for you guys. I was on the road. I'm traveling, actually, so I didn't want to miss you guys. So if you're wondering why is she in the parking lot, I'm like, I had to get here for the BCW network. I thought I would be home in time. I just, pulled over and, had to get it going. So, hi, thank you for your question.
Okay, so Ruth's question is, after you've identified your passion, how much should you charge for service? And what resources or websites could you recommend?
Okay, awesome. So how much should you charge for your services? First of all, that goes with research. So she's right. The websites and resources would be key. I would try salary.com. And also, again, I would go with my competitors. For example, I do social media management, right? And I like to undercut the competition. Right now, it's not all about money for me, right? Because I'm guided by my purpose, not money. Boss moves folk, you're guided by purpose, not money. So always remember that. What is your purpose and what did God tell you? Because money is definitely going to come when you follow God. You follow your purpose, you follow your gut, what you're here for. So research told me, let me look up some other girls who charge for social media management services. Also, let me think about what did my company pay for that, right? What did my company pay companies for that? How much were the salaries for social media managers? So you can go to salary.com, you can go to glassdoor.com, and you can find out for each market how much is someone willing to pay a social media manager. And that's how I base my rates on. I would undercut the price. Not enough for me to be living on living on the street, but enough for people to say, hey, she has all this experience, but she's willing to charge us 10% less or 5% less than the competition. So those are great resources. Salary.com, glassdoor.com, and also look at your competitors. Go to some events. Sometimes you have to be a spy. Sometimes you have to go to events and say, yeah, girl, that's an awesome cake. How much did she charge you to do that? Or if you want to be a hairstylist, go on styleseat.com and see how much they're charging for their services. If you want to do resume writing, there are companies who actually post their rates online, and you can see how much they charge. So go to different sites of your competitors, find out, what's the market value for that. Also, if you're trying to do things that are creative that sometimes you feel like, oh, well, I can't put a rate on that. Think about it in these terms, right? What are your expenses to live, and how much does it take to do that job? Okay, put it into perspective. How many hours are you going to have to take to do that? Okay, base your rates on that. Okay, so let's say, for instance, to edit a story, right? One story. If it takes me 2 or 3 hours to edit that story, how much how much does my internet cost to even use the internet to edit that story? How much is my time capital worth? Right? Based on my experience, how much is my time capital worth? If I worked for a New York Times and I was making $50 an hour, I may not necessarily charge an everyday person $50 an hour to edit. But if you think about your experience, how much are you worth based on what your experience is as well? So I always look at the return on investment. Right? So if they're only paying me $10 for a post, I can't spend 10 hours on that. Because if you do the math, that doesn't add up, honey. That's not paying your gas in your car. That's not paying your transit. It's not paying your mortgage, your rent. So crunch the numbers as well. How many hours are you spending on creating an event? Event planning is another one where people will say, hey, I don't know how much to charge for that, but you actually do, because how much is it going to cost to put that event together? How many hours is it going to take? And how much are your hours worth? And you want to be competitive. You don't want to be one of those people that's overcharging people. So use a combination of how much experience do I have? How much hours is it going to take for me? Because time is money. Time is capital. So how much hours is it going to take me to plan this? Use the internet to do research, hire people, fly people in, my transportation. You build all that budget in based on real tangible numbers. I hope that helps, Sherry, right? You build in all those tangible numbers.
No, I think it's helpful for her. And I think it's you gave her some good websites, you told her to think about the pricing. And I think that pricing can be tough for people starting out. I think that can be a very hard thing in the beginning, is because sometimes we know our value or what our product is, but sometimes we're like, oh, do I really want to charge that much? And they feel uncomfortable with that process. And I think,
yes, you do. Oh, yes, you do. You do want to charge that much. Think about it, especially for us women. Stop being modest about what you're worth. Men are never modest. If you ask a plumber how much is this going to cost, matter of fact, he may overcharge you. You ever been to a mechanic that has overcharged you until you argue him down, or you bring your uncle or whoever? I'm not trying to be chauvinistic, but I'm just saying, when you go and ask a man how much should he be paid for anything, he is not modest about it. As a matter of fact, he may overcharge you because he feels that confident about his services. So as women, you don't want to go too high with people, especially when you're just starting out and you're entry level, but based on your experience. Oh, and here's another thing too. Sometimes what you charge is based on what you believe you are worth, and also how you're able to sell yourself.
Yes.
Sell yourself.
Go ahead and pass on that one.
Yes, that is like, some people out here are charging corporate prices for work that they're local people. They've never really had corporate experience, but because they're able to sell their services so well, they can charge top dollar for creative services and anything that you can think of. Also, think about when you're working, how would you negotiate a salary package at your job? You know what I mean? Like when you take a job, you're thinking about, what are your vacation days? Okay, do you offer flex days? Do you offer health insurance? Do you offer this? Do you offer that? So, don't be modest, ladies. Like, we do that a lot. Stop devaluing yourself. You're very worth it. If you have a passion and God gave it for you to do, you still have to live. So you have to be a power negotiator. And also, I would recommend blackenterprise.com as well in terms of salary negotiations. You can use those to pinpoint your services, how much to charge for your services as well in terms of salary negotiations, and also how to sell yourself, how to sell your services, how to let people know why you're so great and why they should hire you or use your services. That's very key as well in getting what you feel you deserve. A lot of it is the salesmanship, not even the value of what you offer.
Yeah. And I think too, even for someone, if you want to start out with maybe, like Janell said, if you want to come in a little lower than some of your competitors so you can kind of start building that business up and getting the clientele, and then do not be afraid to increase your prices. Do not be afraid to increase them, and then and you'll know when it's time to increase your prices. So you don't be afraid to do that either, to raise your rates or your whatever you have, membership rates and whatever they are. So Ruth did reply back, and Ruth said, "Thank you, that was helpful." And she also said,
thank you.
She also asked the question, is bartering welcomed?
Oh yes, bartering is awesome, especially when you're just getting involved in monetizing your purpose. And also, I just want to reiterate this as well. Monetizing your purpose doesn't have to be entrepreneurship. That's another thing I want to add as well. You can be a great employee and move up the ranks in a company, or not even move up the ranks, but really get into your dream job by monetizing your purpose as well. So I just want to say that. But bartering is awesome. Bartering actually helps you build partnerships. It helps you build a community of entrepreneurs like yourself. And also, it helps you keep the overhead down, okay? If you can barter services for different things, I know for sure multi-million-dollar businesses today started out bartering. They had friends, family, colleagues, alumni who had the skills that they needed, and they bartered for certain things. So I would highly recommend bartering. I would highly recommend it. And just be sure, 3 things about bartering. 1, be sure whatever you're bartering has an equal or more value than what the person is offering you. Make it a win-win situation, because sometimes people want something for nothing. 2nd, be conscious of the position that the company or the person you're bartering with is in. If they're treating their business like a hobby, you may not want to barter with them. But if it's a true entrepreneur who's putting it all into their business and willing to get a high return on their investment as well, definitely great to barter with them. And 3, whenever you barter, be sure that your best interests are being taken care of as well on their side. If you're doing an event, for instance, and you're bartering services or sponsorship, be sure that they're including your logo, your marketing, your audience, because you're both getting something out of this. So just be sure that it's a win-win situation. Sometimes you do need contracts as well with bartering, because nothing is free. I don't use the word free. There's nothing free. Even stuff that's free costs something. So never use the word free. Always use, time capital, resources, partnership, those sorts of things. So think about those 3 things whenever you're doing bartering.
So just to recap that, what she talked about, don't use the word free. Time capital is a good word to use. Resources, the business exchange, something that doesn't sound so, low budget, right? I guess that's the best way to say it.
And there's nothing free. Think about this. There's nothing free, because sometimes in bartering and partnerships, people will say, well, I gave her this for free, or she did this for free. No, time is not free. As a matter of fact, time is more valuable than money. You can't get time back. So think about it that way as well. When you're spending your time, how much time are you spending, and what are you getting out of that? You know what I mean? So nothing is free. If someone comes to you for a partnership or a bartering situation and they use the word free, you might want to reevaluate even working with them, because their mentality is not there. I don't work with people that say things like free. Are you going to give this for free? Are you going to do this for free? It's not for free. Your time is even valuable. So always weigh the pros and cons of things. Make sure you're creating the right synergies. That's another thing too. Sometimes people partner with people just out of popularity or because they have so many followers or this and that. But if it doesn't align with your brand, and if in the long run it's not going to benefit you and the expansion of your brand, I wouldn't do it. You know, make sure their values are matching with yours. Make sure their branding, their professionalism, the way they work, the people they work with. Just do your research when you're doing bartering as well, because again, nothing is free. Bartering is not free.
No, bartering is not, it's definitely not free. And so again, and you need to be careful who you barter with too, you know, because you want them to have a certain level of character and integrity about how they go about doing their business. And so you definitely need to be, you know, be mindful of that as well. So just, you know, just be careful. So, okay, let's go into create and tailor what you will offer. And I think we kind of talked about the pricing piece of this, but let's dive in a little deeper about creating and tailoring what you will offer. And don't you agree that sometimes this could be a process of a growing pain process or discovery process? I mean, who comes out the gate knowing exactly what they want to offer?
Oh yes, this is definitely something that you will adjust over the years. You may be offering something today that may not have done well, or you may be offering something that may not have done well and may not last, or you may offer something that may not have done well but creates and builds an audience. I'm sure McDonald's, for instance, didn't think that coffees would be their thing. They always thought burgers would, and then they brought the chicken sandwich. Then they brought other offerings on the menu. Now, they were a burger joint when they first came out. So, you know, nowadays, you kind of pivot with your audience and see what they want. So some things you might do that may not work, it's a trial and error, really. And it's all about growth. Growth is all about trial and error. So I definitely would recommend that. Don't get so stuck on one thing. Also, I do agree with an entrepreneur that I just recently interviewed. She said start with one thing. If you're offering a product specifically, master that one product before you go off on different products or offering a mishmash of different things. Master that one product and then branch out into other things.
No, I agree with that. I think, you know, taking that one product and running with it it simplifies everything. Yeah, you want your customers to have options, but you can introduce them to options as they begin to, you know, see the value in what you do and increased value in what you do, and then trusting you with what they've been learning and growing from with their brand experience with you. So no, I think that's great advice, viewers, is to start with one product and master and focus on that. And then once you get to that place, you can start expanding on your products and services. And then it won't be a hard sell because you already have people who have had a certain experience with the products you already have or the product you already have. So they're going to go and expect that same thing. It's just like your favorite artist. You know, they had this great album and then they bring out this next album and you automatically go buying it without listening to it because it's the first one was the bomb.com. Yeah. You just go like, I don't have to hear a track. Where's it at? You know, and you want them to be able to come back in that capacity because that means that that what they've experienced was good for them.
Right.
Okay, so I have a question specifically about that. Create and tailor what you will offer. So I guess what I would want you to share with the viewers is that yes, you may feel like, well, I want to have multiple different products I want to come out at the same time. And if someone is really adamant about bringing, you know, actually launching multiple products, what is the best way for them to market that or deliver that and using social media to say, hey, this is what I'm offering in this big conglomerate of stuff?
Okay, so my questions would be, are the offerings part of an umbrella? For instance, I work in media. So media has so many different legs. You could do editing. You could be on the content side. You could be on the strategy side. You could be on social media. So I feel like if they're related in the beauty industry, for instance, you could have bath and body products. You could have hair products. You could have, health product. So I would say just make sure they're under the same umbrella and focus in on that and marketing them under an umbrella. If they're kind of disjointed and you have different interests, I would say try marketing those separately if you do have the capacity, the team, and the time to do that. I don't recommend that. I don't. I think if you have 3 different things that are unrelated, I think 2 of those maybe should be like those hush-hush luxury things that only that audience knows about, that you kind of keep that on the low for a bit, unless that becomes very popular and you're able to market that appropriately. I wouldn't suggest having, for instance, selling hair on this side, and then you're doing shoes on this side, and then you're offering Bill Bondsman services on another side. You know what I'm saying? Like, some people are serial entrepreneurs, but you need to market those separately in order to maximize on those and actually get a team that knows that market. Sometimes you do need that team that knows a niche market, not someone who has general market experience. And if you have general market experience, that's great, but sometimes it's good to just have that niche. I'm very big on niches. Other entrepreneurs may disagree with me, but that's just my opinion on that.
So for someone who is, they work for an organization and they're just looking to have these multiple streams of income that certain people do, like you said, your passion doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be an entrepreneur in order for you to monetize your purpose, right? Mm-hmm. So staying authentic, which is the last one, staying authentic and focused on your purpose. What are some of the key things that you can share with the viewers about, staying authentic during this journey of monetizing your purpose, and then staying focused on the purpose if things are not moving in the direction that you want to go to, or maybe the plan's not working out, or maybe things are taking off and they're moving fast, and how do they stay focused and authentic to the gift?
Okay, so what I would say is this goes back to the original point that we had made earlier. You have to really know yourself and be in tune with why you're doing something. Be in tune with the whys. Constantly remind yourself of why. Write these down, whether it's the 1st year, the 5th year, or the 10th year. Why am I doing this? What problem am I solving? And that helps you to stay focused. Sometimes we can see people being successful at doing such and such, and we'll jump to that, or we'll say, oh, this person is doing this way, I should just jump to that. But you have to stay true to why you got into it in the first place. Why did God call you to do that? What specific qualities were in you, literally, that are unchangeable? They're not something that's, like your hair. I change my hair every week, but certain things about my passion for millennials does not change. My passion for minority women does not change. You know what I mean? So ask yourself the whys. And also look at other leaders who you admire. Look at Oprah Winfrey, for instance. Do you see her jumping around everywhere? No. Consistently, her brand has been about empowering people to their purpose and to solving the problems of their life, their lifestyle, exposing truths about themselves. And she's been able to constantly reinvent that. She's been able to constantly do an extension of that through other people, even building up other people in that same thing. So think about people who you admire. What helps them stay in tune with that? Why didn't Oprah jump in, for instance, on the reality TV show, thing of, the Ratchet TV? Or why didn't she jump into the Jerry Springer style of talk show, which is still very popular? Jerry Springer, he's still on a couple of networks. He's not as popular as he used to be, but I'm talking about that type of talk show. Why didn't Oprah pivot to that? Or look at a Russell Simmons. He's been the yoga hip-hop guy for so long, and people still love and respect him. He's expanded his businesses in different ways, even though he did just recently have that scandal about the card. So, that's not really the example I'm trying to give you. What I'm trying to say is, look at some of your leaders. It's because of the why, because they know their purpose. It's because they look into themselves and say, why did I start this in the first place? And how can I continue to expand on the why? I think that's what helps you stay grounded and helps you really continue to stay focused. Also, prayer. Prayer helps me as well. And also, money is a motivator as well. When you start to see something, a light, you light a match, and then it gets bigger. The fire gets bigger and bigger. Keep building on that. You know what I mean? And sometimes you may have to put it down and pick it back up again. You may fail. You may have to go back to a job, or you may have to take side gigs and that sort of thing. don't worry about that, because again, if you're mostly focused on your purpose and the whys, you won't care about, oh, what is this person going to think about me? Oh, I failed. Oh, this or that. We're all human, so of course we think these things. But for me, I always have to tell myself, okay, Janelle, you see this person doing this and you could go that way, but what did God tell you to do from the beginning? Why are you doing this? Why did you start the Boss Moves? What is your brand like? So that's what I would say and leave with everyone tonight. Always focus on the whys and the purpose. Always focus on what was I led to do in the first place. Keep that tunnel vision, because when you're constantly looking to the side, it's kind of like driving sometimes. When you look to the side too much, you're going to get in an accident because you're not paying attention to what's in front of you. So
Right.
definitely keep that focus. Look at your mentors and the people who are great at what they do, who have sustained the test of time. They've been awesome in their careers. And also there's some people too who have pivoted to other aspects and areas of their business or of another business, who have reinvented themselves. So always remember that as well. There's always the opportunity to reinvent yourself. This is life. You can go so many different directions, and it's okay. It's okay. This person could have been known for this and they changed into that, and they're like, oh, we didn't even know you used to do such and such back in the day. So yeah, keep your focus, remain grounded, keep your prayer life in order, and follow your mentors. Follow those people who have an extended track record of success. Get to know those people, read their books, read articles about them, and mimic it. Seriously, we have to kind of be like, monetizing your purpose is a journey, and it's almost like a rebirth. You have to constantly
Yeah.
be reborn. So it's almost like you're a child. And as kids, we read books about these people. We studied these people. We studied the people that we love. We read all kind of articles about them. We go to their events. Like, become a fan again of life and of people and of learners and of people who have been, have longevity in their career. Become a fan again. Become a learner, a follower beyond social media.
Yeah.
Really enrich yourself. And I think that's how you stay on point. And then again, money is a motivator. So if you find yourself not making money from what you're doing, find ways to make money in other ways that are related to your business. Or maybe you need to pivot the services you offer. Maybe you need to pivot the product. Maybe you need to improve the product. Maybe you need to do some testing. Maybe you need to hire another manufacturer. It's all part of that process of just being a learner, a constant learner, constantly reinventing yourself. And it's a rebirth. Monetizing your purpose is a rebirth. You're going to go through so many things that you've never done before. It's going to make you uncomfortable. It's going to push your limits. And it's not something everybody does. Not everybody has the courage or the tenacity to even monetize a purpose. What they want to do is get their check every day, go on their vacations, pay their bills, and that's good. And that's all good. But we know the people watching this want to monetize their purpose. They want to get beyond that. They want to do something that they're passionate about and be able to live off of that. Not just say, hey, I'm doing this as a hobby. I'm a struggling entrepreneur most of my life. No, you want to actually make money that could build wealth. So that's what I will leave you guys with today.
Well, that was packaged, and that was powerful, and it's so true. So I mean, hope all this resonated with each of you who are listening tonight to Janelle, because it definitely is, it is a journey, and it makes you uncomfortable, and you are going to feel emotions that you probably never felt before, on that journey. And even if you are working for someone else and you still are trying to expand on working in your purpose and creating this process of transitioning, you still going to feel those same emotions. And so you got to understand and recognize who you are and go through that process. And she's, again, like she said, reinventing yourself. When you said that, I was like, that's it right there. Because I think that part of it is reinventing yourself when you start to go on that journey. So I think that's important too. So any last words or any last tips that you want to share with with our viewers before I kind of share some announcements?
Okay, yes. I just want to say, just make sure that when you're monetizing your purpose, you're prayerful, that you're writing things down that you love about yourself, and that you're gaining assessment from trusted people. I also want to say this: happiness is a luxury afforded only to those who are able to follow and monetize their purpose. Only. So think about happiness. And that's about it.
Now, where can they find you, Janelle, in terms of social media?
Okay, on social media, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, at JP Hazelwood, and I'm also on Facebook as well, Janell Hazelwood on Facebook. And I also write for blackenterprise.com as well as Diversity Woman, and I have a new blog on millennial trends and career monetizing your purpose at Black Enterprise called My Two Cents. That's where they can find me. I'm also working on my
All right.
website as well, www.thebossmoves.com, which is having a relaunch at the end of this year.
Awesome. And that, yes, we're looking forward to that as far as we're here at BCW. We are looking forward to the Boss Moves website. So just to share with you guys a couple of announcements. And Janelle, thank you so much for being on here. Again, you guys don't understand, I love Janelle to pieces because she was the very first career conversation we did. It's back in, 2014, I think?
Yes, yes. A little more than 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago. So we, I'll never forget that. So I definitely just want her to be around for, oh, we got a tweet here. Okay, so you got somebody just re-quoted you on Twitter and about monetizing and rebirth. So they got your quote. They're off and running now, lady. Yeah, off and running with it.
All right. Yeah. Thank y'all so much for having me.
So we want to share that this is just the first part one of the two-part series that we're doing with Janelle. So on May 25th, Janelle will be back at 8 p.m. again for part two of this time she's going to be talking specifically about monetizing. I mean, really using a network, of finding your network in order for you to really move forward and utilizing your resources and capitalizing on bartering and things of that nature, in terms of really looking at your network and utilizing that to help you to monetize your passion and your purpose. So she'll be back on the 25th to be able to share with you some tips and tools on how to use your network in order to do that. So we're going to be excited about that as well. Janelle also will be creating, we actually are in the process, I won't say too much about it right now, but look for her to be a much more active part of our website in terms of being able to deliver some of this advice consistently to you all as a BCWN mentor through our website. So I wanted to share that with you as well. Next week, our career conversation, we're going to be bringing back Ms. Marsha Haygood, talking about how to be the CEO of your life. Marsha Haygood was on last week with me, but we had some technical difficulties last week, so we decided we would reschedule for next week, so she can talk about tips and tools in terms of being the CEO of your life, being the boss of your life, handling your business and making it happen. So she will be back. And Marsha Haygood is also a BCWN mentor, but she is a career coach by profession, and she also is a co-author of The Little Black Book of Success, The Laws of Leadership for Black Women. So she will also be on next week, and the week after, Janelle is back with us. On June 1st, we are going to have our very first The Corner Office, and our very special guest will be Dr. Avis Jones DeWeaver, and she's going to be sharing some tips from her new book that she actually is touring with right now, which is How Exceptional Black Women Lead. She also is someone who actually is a visitor, or actually is not a co-host, but she definitely is a visitor of the Roland Martin show on TV1. So she's on there quite often, and when they have their debates about the political views and things that really affect us as black people as a whole in our communities. So she will be, we'll be promoting that on June 1st, so we're really excited about that. So for those of you who are watching for the first time, I'm hoping you had a great experience with Janelle and also with our first career conversation. For those of you who are frequent viewers, please come back and see us next week and share this with your work. And this replay will also be available for download probably in another hour or so, just in case you want to watch the replay. Also, too, the last thing I want to share with you guys is that we will start our the professional development series that we're going to be doing. Is going to be defining your professional identity. That is going to be starting probably in the mid of June. I did want to do it in May, but we wanted to push it back. So we want to make sure that we want to give you some great content, some tools and things to identify who you are as a professional and being able to utilize those tools to move forward. So I want to go ahead, guys, and leave you with the quote, which is, the life God gave you, life you've been living, which means that God gives us all special gifts. And it's our job to determine what those gifts are, or discover what those gifts are, and use those gifts to work in our purpose. And again, for those of you who are not BCWN members, please join us. Right now, we do have a special 50% off discounted rate to become a member. Just use the special code BCWN 50% off and to join as a member. Again, I'll leave you with my quote tonight, which is know your worth, ladies, discover your strength, and work in your purpose. And until next week, have a rest of the awesome week, and we will talk to you soon. Have a good night.